building a business is the fast track to personal development we
yeah.
never knew that we were signing up for. I did not know I was signing up for this.
It can seem like a risk, right? And not to sound cliche, but the bigger risk is not to take it.
Staying at a job for 25 years that you hate, that's also risky. Not being creative for 25 years, that's also risky. So it's like, what's the risk you want to tolerate?
And you have to believe that you're worth it, because you are, but you have to know it, right? You are worth so much more than being frustrated for 25 years in a place that doesn't make you happy.
In what ways have you elevated your thinking to go from like the SLP who's working in a school to like, no, I am the CEO of a company now? Welcome to the Iconic Live series. I'm so excited because we did something that we have never done before. This is a live studio recording, and today I brought you a very incredibly special guest at a very incredibly special time in her life and her business. I brought Liz on to really share about her journey going from SLP to elevated CEO during a time where she is leading a summit of thousands of people. And the reason why I brought you on here is because not only has she elevated her life and her business, but she also has made a huge difference in her family, in her kids, in her friends. And she really talks about how she has channeled her own personal creativity, brought it into the business, and also has a life outside of her business and shares about her personal hobbies as well. So this is a really special episode for me, and I'm so excited to bring you into our living room.
Hi.
Hi. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. This is just like conversation with friends. Like, I really just wanted to be able to share your story because it has inspired me so much to see like how far you've come. So why don't we just start? Why don't you introduce yourself, Liz? Because you, first of all, right now, like we'll just stop and celebrate because you're in the midst of like this massive up level right now.
Major event.
It's
happening.
a major event, which just so we always love divine timing, right? And synchronicities. And it just happened to be like during this week that we're doing this recording. So why don't you introduce yourself, tell everyone who you are, what you do, all of the good highlight reel stuff.
Sure. I'm Liz. I'm a speech language pathologist, and my company helps other speech language pathologists build businesses around their area of expertise, which is reading and literacy intervention. So I have programs that teach speech pathologists how to provide this type of intervention, support coaching community around all of that, and SLPs who want to go even deeper and build a business around it will help you do that as well.
Yeah. And what do you have? What are you doing this week? 'Cause this is like not only I think of it as like a really big deal, of course, for you and your company, also for your industry and what you're doing for them and how you're helping them just elevate and think about things that like they've never even thought about before.
Totally. So speech language pathologists work with children who struggle with spoken language. Children who struggle with spoken language almost always struggle with learning to read as well. And the reason that they struggle with reading is the same reason that they struggle with speaking. And so speech pathologists are the best equipped to support kids in achieving literacy. I don't know if you know much about the literacy crisis in our country, but less than a quarter of fourth graders are able to read on grade level. So there's a real need for this. And yet our field, although we can support literacy, we actually don't prepare our SLPs and graduate programs to really do this effectively. And so my program, my community has the goal of building that knowledge in SLPs to get better outcomes for their students. But we can't do this alone. There is a lot known about reading intervention that comes from other fields like psychology and like intervention education. And so we cannot go far just staying siloed as speech language pathologists. So I have organized an online event, a virtual summit, where I'm bringing together speech language pathologists who are interested in literacy, but also psychologists, education, reading science specialists, and they're all coming together for one day to speak across disciplines. And this is something that doesn't usually happen in education or really any field. People tend to work in those silos. So of course, this is a huge moment for our company to be hosting this event, but even more so for our field and the other fields to have this opportunity. And this event is free to attend. So we're really just about empowering and accessibility. We want you to come. We want you to learn. We want you to get excited. You don't have to travel. It's all virtual and it's free. Just show up and have a great time.
Oh, it's so good. What I really love to do is like showcase like the woman behind the brand and just share like the intricacies, because building a business is so nuanced, and it's like the fast track to personal development that we never knew that we were signing up for. I did not know I was signing up for this. So I want you, can you go back, like take us back to Liz, the SLP, who was working. Did you have this vision then? Or were you just like, I have to get out? Like, what was that process like for you?
I think I have to go back even further to just who I've always been, which is a really creative person. Even as a child, I think my parents would say I was like flighty and in the clouds, very lovingly. But I was just always interested in art, in fashion, in design. I know you've spoken about going to the Hamptons and getting all the magazines. Like as a kid, I would have stacks of the magazines and just look at houses and clothes, design, colors. I loved putting things together. When I became a speech pathologist, I was really interested in the field, but kind of even when I was in my graduate training, I realized that there were some limits in terms of how creative I could be. I never thought about having a creative career because I'm not artistic. I don't paint, I don't sculpt, I don't draw, I don't even bake. So I'm creative, but I never thought that I could turn that into something. Yet when I started my career, I realized that I couldn't be as creative as I needed to be. And that was really a struggle. And that was frustrating for me. So when I started out, I kind of always knew that something was going to have to change or I was going to be really, really unhappy. I did never anticipated owning a business. I never thought of entrepreneurship as a path of creativity. I thought of entrepreneurship as strategy and money and marketing and sales. And yeah, it's all of that, but that is secondary to the creativity and the vision. And it took me a while to put those pieces together. But once I did, I knew that I needed to just give myself the space to expand and let my dreams exist.
Well, first, I've never heard you describe like the journey like that and the creativity piece of it. I think it's so easy for that to almost like get lost in business too.
Yeah.
And like that part of it, that's the part I love too. Like even just like doing this here with you and like being able to pick out outfits and like get glam done. And like that is the fun of it. And I think sometimes we get so into the marketing and the sales and the delivery that we kind of forget like this is about having a creative outlet, and it is all tied together. And, you know, I talk a lot about that, but can you share like how now, and did you go right into like having this creative outlet in your business, or did you get lost in the marketing and sales along the way?
My business has evolved so much, and things that allowed me to be creative. Once I started in my industry, in my organization, I knew there just were bureaucratic caps onto how creative I could be. How I wanted to deliver my support, the amount of time I could take, where it could take, the materials that I could use, and what I was allowed and not allowed to document or to say. So I immediately craved other spaces where I could do it the way that I wanted to, and the way that I thought would be fun and good. And so that meant starting to build a private practice, which at the time I did not see as a creative pursuit. It was more a financial pursuit that I needed more money and I had a skill. But once I got into it and realized I could decide how long sessions were, I could decide what materials I'm using, I could write a report the way I wanted to write it, I could talk to a client the way I wanted to talk to them. I loved it. And that's what encouraged me to keep going. And I also started creating digital products. So as I was working in private practice and creating lessons for my students, which is a really creative process, I was able to share them online using, platforms that allow you to kind of trade just a few pages of resources. I think that at the time it was suggested that you price every page 25 cents. So if you made if you made a 4-page lesson, you could charge $1 for it. This is 2012, 2013, kind of really the advent of online selling in general. I was just really excited to wake up in the morning and have
Yeah.
$3. It
Oh
was
my
so much
gosh.
fun. But that was the reward for the
Yeah.
creativity and started to help me lean into there's something here and to follow this more.
Mhm.
But actually taking the risk and going all in on it is something really different.
So I want to follow that thread for a second because I know when I started, I just want to make $100 a day. Like that was my like big goal at the time. And obviously the mile marker moves and moves, and we could even talk about
Yeah.
that. But like the high, it doesn't matter how much it
Yeah.
is. Like the high of those first dollars, like, can you talk to that
Oh my
verse?
gosh.
Yeah.
I can because, okay, like timing and everything, your phone will flash back
Yeah.
photos from years ago. And I love that feature, like seeing
Mhm.
where I was and what we were doing. And very recently, I'm going to say in the last 2 weeks, a screenshot flashed of a digital product that I had thought went viral
Yeah,
at the
yeah.
time. And it was a screenshot of all these $3.20 sales that I had made. And it was the first time that my phone was kind of stacked with
Yeah.
multiple sales. And it made me really emotional because it wasn't about the
Yeah.
money. I think it was probably $12, right? But like to see that other people recognized what I was doing and
Mhm.
valued what I was doing as much as I did was the greatest feeling. I screenshotted it to save, to have these moments
Yeah.
to look back and say, like, that was really amazing
Yeah.
and really major.
That initial high and that initial feeling, that could be one that we then again chase like forever. So, how does that like match up to that feeling now where you have literally, like, we're sitting here, you have thousands of people registered
Mhm.
for this summit. Like, I have no doubt, and you still are going to get thousands more because
Right.
it hasn't even started yet.
Yeah.
This could be something that continues to grow and grow and grow after. So, have you been able to like duplicate that feeling? Like, what is the feeling like now? Because I think often I have to like zoom out often, like daily, to be like, I
Mhm.
just said to Dan to Dan literally yesterday, we used to dream of the days where we would get sales every single day. And like we have that now. So, like, can we grow from this like cherry on top energy instead of this like force?
Yeah. It's crazy because now I'm exponentially making so much more than that. And I think I'm more reserved about the success now than I was then. And maybe there's in some ways less of a high
Mhm.
because I've also seen what the low can be.
Yeah.
After that initial jump, and then let's say when the event is over or the sale ends, then there's nothing. And
Mhm.
that's really scary and really hard. And so I think particularly on this event, which has been tremendously successful beyond even my reach goals, I have surpassed all of them. I'm still holding back in how much I want to celebrate because I know what could come next. And I also know how much it took to get here. So
Mhm.
with every increase in sale and with every new customer, it's also that much more work on the back end. And so while it is such a celebration, it's also just a representation of all the work and effort, not just in the months preparing for this event, but in the years that have brought me to be in a place where I could even host something like this in the first place.
Yeah. It's really interesting because I think a lot of people, myself included, want to get to that seven-figure year or whatever that is, that I think we all have that number in our head when we start, or a year in, 3 years in, 5 years in. And I always think like, I'm so glad it took me, I don't know, a decade to hit my first seven-figure year, because it would have, now knowing what I know, it literally would have broken me. So how, like, talk about being the person who can even hold 8, 10, 12,000 people and be like the CEO that has the capacity, the resilience, the nervous system to do that. Like, what were the things, if you could boil it down to like three things, what are the things that you have done and worked on, even from just like a leadership capacity, to be able to hold thousands of people coming in? Because that's not some, I could not have done that like year one. I just couldn't have.
Yeah. Something that really helps me, and I think a lot of digital CEOs probably struggle with just the reality of their
Mhm.
customers because you don't very often meet them face to face. Even if you get on a Zoom call, it's different.
Yeah.
And these sales that come in and they pop up on your phone, it can feel kind of fake. Like you
Mhm.
just do this thing and then all of these other things happen and that human piece is gone. But last year, I exhibited my brand at a trade show at a convention for the first time. And that, what I thought going into it, it would be a milestone because just being able to be there, having physical products that weren't just digital, having a brand identity, having a backdrop and a tablecloth and employees or team members to be with me was the milestone. But the real milestone was getting to interact with my customers in person, meeting customers who had been with me for years from the beginning and hearing from them what they valued, and also meeting cold customers in person off the street, off the trade show floor, and telling them what I did and connecting with them and hearing their stories. And even if they weren't interested, like really understanding why it wasn't a fit for them
Yeah.
has helped me to bring that reality into this event of who these people are and what they're looking for, and really being mindful of this isn't something fake and this isn't just numbers in a Zoom room, but it's really human beings who are really excited about coming. That is motivating me to show up as a leader for them
Mm.
because they're not just bots. They're
Yeah.
real and they need that.
Yeah. It's when we run these like online businesses that live like it literally lives in the clouds.
It lives in my head and my
Yeah.
dreams.
Yeah. And we just operate, and this is something I experience too, where I'm like, no, I'm just like dropping my kids off at 8:43 in the morning. I come home. Like even yesterday, I was just like on my couch and then we went out for coffee. Like it's just so normal. Yet you have you're this woman who's about to like stand in front of thousands of people like leading, and the bigness, like that's the thing. Like, sometimes it's hard to wrap yourself around like the bigness of what you have done. So you do really have to, yes, like I get the reservedness, but you do really have to celebrate because this is like a huge accomplishment for you.
It is a huge accomplishment. I'm celebrating by being here. This is totally part of the celebration. And next weekend is a holiday. So I'll be with my family, which will be nice. And then the weekend after that, my husband and girls, we're going out to Montauk and we're gonna
Oh,
just enjoy. No computer, no phones, and just take in the moment that we've hit a milestone in the
yeah.
business. And it's one of many more to come. But you have taught me the importance of stopping and celebrating and recognizing. I think in the past, I would have just plowed forward. And of
Mhm.
course, I have visions.
Of
We're doing
course.
things in April. We're doing things in May. This is not it. But I have built in space and I'm intentionally taking time away to celebrate that and to make space for what could be even better in the future.
Yeah, so good. I'm so happy. Let's talk a little bit about the just like the lifestyle piece, because I know there have been so many ways that you have like just elevated yourself, and I really love talking about just like the thinking behind it, like what the thinking, even like going to J. Crew and picking out your top, like what in what ways have you elevated your thinking to go from like the SLP who is working in a school to like, no, I am the CEO of a company now. And I'm obsessed with language, and just hearing you say like my company
Mm.
and not downplaying that, I think is a really big deal. So what is there anything that you can think of that in ways that you've either upgraded your identity, your thinking, how you think about things even differently, from paying for daycare, help,
Mhm.
like things like that?
I think for so long, I thought when I hit this milestone, I'll make the up level. When I have thousands of people, then I'll buy nice clothes. When I
Mm,
do this, we'll do nice things. And what I've taken away from working so closely with you and your team is that it's the opposite. You actually have to make those changes first to then make space for what's to come. So if I had worked in the inverse and said, I won't, let's say, get full time childcare for my family until we hit a certain revenue number, I never could hit that number without the support. And more so, I never could have had the vision. I always had the vision for this event, for this summit, but I never could have brought it to be in the way that I have without childcare, without a team that I compensate, without people to help me make this happen, without coaches that I happily gladly invest in. And if you are waiting for it to happen first, it's never going to. You have to make the change to make the space.
Mm. How did you like accept that? Because sometimes it is like the chicken or the egg, and we believe so much that like just in general in life, like women deserve to be supported. And so I know so many women who are just doing it all. And then we see that like you're doing it all in life and then you do it all in business too, where you're just like
You
carrying
can't.
carrying everything, and then we wonder why our business feels exhausting, we're burned out, we're tired, we need breaks. So can you talk about that experience to go really into a place of just like you are supported? And obviously like there's more to go for all of us, but and no, I deserve to be supported just because like I'm a living, breathing human.
Well, you taught me that. You showed me that about a year ago at one of our in-person events. You stood up and said, I have a team. I have, a huge team. We have from everyone from admin to personal and family assistant. You talked about, I don't do my laundry. There's a lot of stuff. I don't make the haircut appointments
Mm.
because I can't. Someone else can, and I'm able to grow my business because of that. And I have honestly never heard a woman speak like that. I mean, I'm even talking about reading Sheryl Sandberg Lean In, right? It never
Yeah.
touches on that piece. And I truly left that experience with you like, wow, that is actually the secret. That is
Mm.
it. And you doing it and then not hiding it. And I think a lot of women don't hide it out of shame, but
Mhm.
they hide it because they don't know how to convey it. And you just did, and you made that possible. I never would have seen that if someone didn't show me what was possible. I
Mhm.
definitely need to sometimes see that it can
Yeah.
happen, and you showed me that, and so I followed it. I thought, well, I know I can build something here. It's proven to be successful to this point. If I want to go to the next level, these are the changes that we have to make. And we did. And it can seem like a risk, right?
Yeah.
And not to sound cliche, but the bigger risk is not to take it,
Yeah.
right? Because if you don't do that, it's never going to happen. You have to make the space for your business to expand in yourself. And if you don't make that space in yourself, it's not going to happen. And so it just kind of became a no brainer to make that investment. And there have been moments where it's been like, ooh, this is a big investment. And
Yeah.
there, businesses, they're up and down. And there are times when we feel that, but we know that it is getting us somewhere greater and it's worth it.
Yeah. And I would even say, like, yeah, it is a risk. And when I think about it, like, I never did this to take the easy path. I did that. Like, starting a business is risky, quitting your job is risky. But like
Hmm.
you said, staying at a job for 25 years that you hate, that's also risky. Not being creative for 25 years, that's also risky. So it's like, what's the risk you want to tolerate? And what are the standards you want to set?
And you have to believe that you're worth it because you are, but you have to know it, right? You are worth so much more than being frustrated for 25 years in a
Mhm.
place that doesn't make you happy. And it may seem like a risk, but like you said, the greater risk is to be stuck. And it's just that belief like you are worth it and it is possible. And that's something you've really shown me.
Yeah, and I also think about too like, the message. If I would have stayed in teaching, what is that message I'm sending to my kids? Like it always just like hits me to bring it back to them. So like the ripple effect on their life is going to be that they're going to stay in a job they don't love, and the ripple effect of their kids' lives, and like how many generations are we going to tolerate this because I wouldn't take a risk and I wouldn't like be a leader for my family? What would I rather say? Oh, my business, struggled one year, or I stayed 25 years hating
Yeah,
every single day.
absolutely. It's so interesting because my mom is a teacher and she's an amazing teacher and she loves teaching, and teaching for her was what opened things up for our family. That was actually the risk for her.
Mhm.
She had 3 kids and went back to school
Yeah.
to get a master's degree to then get a job. That's a risk, right?
Mhm.
To invest in an education that you don't know if you're going to get hired after, to start a career when you have young kids at a time when most women still
Yeah.
weren't
Yeah.
working. And what that opened up for her And then for us as a family is really what inspires me still.
Yeah.
Funnily enough, teaching wasn't it for me, but that determination of even when you have kids, still pushing yourself forward for more
Mhm.
for you and your family, that's what motivated me to make that decision to do something big too.
Yeah. Let's talk about that because that's like full circle for
Mhm.
you now because you have hired your mom, you've
Mhm.
hired your sister.
Yeah.
So what has that experience been like? Because as someone who's a mom who took a risk for you, right? Your mom
Yeah.
took a risk for you. Now it's like this whole like, oh, talk about that ripple.
It's so amazing. I mean, first of all, I'm so blessed with my family, and no one will ever love my business as much as them. So I can't imagine a better team
Yeah.
in terms of just their support and enthusiasm and being bought into the vision. But it also just reiterates the ripple effect of the impact that we have. I think we were just talking about
Mhm.
this before. Like I'm thinking I'm going to impact all these speech language pathologists around the country to and teach literacy in their sessions, and I think I've done that, and we are doing that. But I'm also making these micro impacts in my family,
Yeah.
both my immediate family, parents, siblings, close friends that are helping them, supporting them, just whether it's just giving them something to be really excited about or new financial opportunities that they never would have dreamed of to be possible. It feels so amazing and so motivating. It was definitely not something I ever expected happening when I took this risk, but I can't even call it a risk because the reward is just so
Yeah.
great. It's just so great.
And that's the unseen things that happen for a while. I think when you're in like this messy middle part where you just left your job or and you have all these like eyeballs on you and you're just like going forward. And what we don't see often until there's like the fruits of the labor is all the people that you've impacted along the way and how you just the way that you show up and the way that you think and the way you hold yourself and the way you lead has impacted everyone from your mom to your sister to your family to your friends to your kids to your husband. Like there's just so much impact. And that's the invisible stuff that we often don't see, but we have to know that it is happening.
Yeah, it is happening. I think particularly as women, and I'm a young mom, not young, but my kids are very young,
You're
4-year-old and a
young.
1-year-old,
Wait.
younger, right? My kids are very
Yeah.
young, and it can be very easy to get trapped
Hmm.
in a mindset trap when you have young kids that, just like getting up and getting dressed and knowing your value. And you have called me to be greater than that. And that has impacted, I think, many friends and colleagues that I have said to me, like, because you said this, or I saw you do this, I tried to do this too. And I got more childcare, or
Yeah.
I had a friend tell me recently, I'm going to start doing something online because it looks really fun what you're doing.
Yeah.
And she's someone who never thought that would be possible. And it's awesome. I want more everyone to
Yeah.
come and let's do this. This is great.
So good. Let's talk for a second, totally kind of like off topic, but I think it goes into the creativity piece, like hobbies.
Mm.
Because again, like I really want to show women that business is not so serious. It is a great channel for your creativity and we need hobbies. Like we need just like I think we're starting to understand. Maybe, at least in our circles, like you can't just be one thing to everyone. So I knew I didn't want to just be a mom, even though that's like a really big role, but I still wanted to have a piece of me. And then I was like the mom and CEO. And then my like next iteration was like, oh no, I actually need more outside of that. So
Mhm.
like I need hobbies again. I need to like remember the joy of baking, fiction, like getting out of the house. So
Yeah.
what's your cuz I know you've been working on this too. So like what's your favorite way to get and have some downtime, hobbies, creativity that's like not coming from your business?
I think it's all part of the creativity is that I'm just interested in so many things and I love doing things. I love experiences. I love travel. I love restaurants and not for those like surface level, glossy, showy ways, but because of how they make me feel and how they inspire me and
Mm.
how creative I feel after a really fun experience. And I love how you and I have been able to talk about bringing these things that we see, like how can you replicate that in your business? But something that I've always found, and you talk about often too, is this idea of like CEO time. And for me, it's just like space away. That's truly what fuels my creativity. So I really love exercise. I'm a runner. I've run 2 marathons and 5 half marathons. So running is like always been something for me that's just like time for my brain. Like it's a physical activity, but it's actually what goes on in my head when I run that just feels so good. I used to say, like, I solve any problem during a run, or I get like really my best ideas happen when I'm running. I mean, sometimes I have to stop running and jot something down in
Yeah.
my phone because I know it will go away. I'm like, no, that's really good. I want to hold on to it. So that space away, it kind of creeps up in anyway. Like that's where the creativity comes from. I love reading fiction, and I recently started playing mahjong. I'm in a mahjong league, and that's just been so fun to learn something new.
Yeah.
Have an intellectual challenge that doesn't involve the logistics and schedules when you're a mom or the logistics and schedule when you're a business owner. And so I'm still exercising my brain, but it's something new, it's something removed. And it's a way for me to be social and connect with friends, which is also really important. Other people to distract you, to hear their stories and their perspectives. It's important to see those activities as both time away from the business and also feeding the business too, because it's
Yes.
feeding
Yeah.
you and it's feeding your heart and your brain and your soul. And you're going to bring that back on Monday when you're back at work.
I think that's what a lot of CEOs don't realize is that actually feeds your business because you have to shut it off. It doesn't matter how much you love your business. It doesn't matter. It's like your kids. Like I love my kids so much, but I need a
Yes,
break.
anyone does.
And it's the same thing.
It's totally the same thing. The space away lets you come back a better version of yourself and a better CEO. And when you're the visionary and you're the leader, you have to show up like that. The business depends on
Mhm.
you having that space and having that creativity. And if you don't give that to yourself, your business will suffer.
Yeah, 100%. So I know that someone is going to be thinking logistically here. How did you get involved in Marjan? Like logistically, like how did you seek this out?
It came to me. I had some friends who were organizing a league, and I had to say yes, right? Like I was presented with the opportunity, but I had to say yes.
Yeah.
We meet every other week. We meet in the evenings, actually during bedtime. So it's not something that like, oh, we can put the kids to bed and then we're going to do this. No, we meet at 6 o'clock, which means that you're away for that night. And I already travel often for work and sometimes end up working late. My husband also works late often. And so that is a constraint. But I had to say yes to the
Yeah.
opportunity.
And how did you balance that? Because, and this is why nothing is black and white, because I will say, like, no, I pick up my kids every day from school, but like, I also don't. Like, I pick them up every day, and it's okay that today they're going to my mom's house after school because we're like here
Yeah.
recording this. So things can be very black and white, but you have to give yourself that fluidity of the gray area when you know intuitively, no, I actually need to say yes to this.
Yeah. Well, nothing can ever truly be black and white. I mean, even in your business, our best systems don't always work,
Yep.
and our best
Yes.
rules have to be broken
Yeah.
sometimes because there is a necessity. And in the same way, there is this necessity for space for yourself, for time for yourself, creative thinking, a new cognitive challenge. But you have to be okay with it. And you have to know that it is still valuable and it doesn't make you less than as a mother or less than as a business owner to do this. It actually shows your children and shows your team where your values are.
Yeah. So good. So, okay, let's cast the vision forward a little bit. You have this summit coming up. What's the official date of the summit?
March 28th.
So it's coming up like really, really soon.
Yeah.
Are you one of those people who you like have your next 12 months, you're like, this is how it's going to go? Or are you kind of like fly by the seat a little bit? Like, how do you operate?
I have a general sketch of how the year will go. I don't think I could be at this point in a business without some
Mhm.
structure and predictability of what our general goals are. But outside of the month to month plan, I am very kind of make it up as I go. And I think so far that's helped me be really successful in terms of it lets me be the most creative. What's been an interesting constraint is that as my company has grown and my team has grown, they need more from me, right? Like my designer, I need to give her information well in advance so that
Yeah.
everything can be set up on the webpage. My client success person, she needs those URLs 2 weeks before so we can send them out. So that has been a challenge for me as much as my team is helping me grow. It's also challenging me to balance this creativity. I can't always fly by the seat of my pants.
Yeah.
We do have to have a little bit more of a plan. And I've been thinking about implementing strategic planning sessions with my team to just, I'm thinking of them as a space where I can just kind of creatively brain dump,
Yeah.
and then we can together figure out what that would look like. And I think it's good for me to be forced to have more structure and predictability, because sometimes when you're too creative and too fly by, things don't work, things are too late, things could have gone better, or things fail. I've had that happen many times. So I am excited to be a little bit more proactive in my business planning.
It's interesting because when you first start, I think we like, if you think of it in terms of like transportation, you have this like almost like a motorcycle. You're just like in a motorcycle. You're just like, I'm the driver. I'm everything here. And then as you get bigger and bigger and bigger, you upgrade to like a van. You got more people in the van. So you can't, it takes a little bit more navigating to move. So I love that. And just having, but I still personally love to have like the flexibility and the nimbleness to still have both of like, I like the structure, but I also like want the flexibility to be able to move a little faster on some things and some ideas. So if you could, like looking back like to Liz 5 years ago, if you were face to face with her and she was having like one of those hard days, as we all do and have and will continue to have, by the way, in the future, what would you say to her if she was like in front of you having a hard day and she could see, like she was where I am and she could see everything you have just accomplished in the past week?
Oh, she'd probably be like, oh, we did it. We did it, which is just so emotional for me because I don't think of myself today as I've done it. I think I'm just beginning. There's so much more to do. There's so much more to figure out. There's so many more challenges ahead. But if I look back from 5 years, I would think I made it.
Yeah. And what would you say to her?
It was really hard, but really fun and worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's just a reminder to keep that like I made it perspective, because there's going to be so many versions of you that continue to make it. But how can you just like own that now and keep her like on your shoulder and just like, talking you up because you did. We all have that version sitting here of like, no, I made it. We need to keep that perspective.
I knew I was going to cry in this podcast. I was just waiting for it.
It's what we do. Emotions are good. Well, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for the opportunity and inviting me to be one of your guests. And I'm really honored.
Oh, we're honored to have you. Tell everyone where to find you also.
You can find me on Instagram, Elizabeth_reading SLP.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.